speakers for allowing me to speak. It is both an honor and an incredible privilege to be with everyone here today. I would also like to thank you all for coming. Your very presence shows that change is imminent, a tidal wave of change that will shake our politicians to their very bones. I'm very involved in the music program at my school, and that means that I go to a lot of auditions. During one, the preface to the audition was to look at the person standing in line next to us and say, "It's going to be okay." I think it helped us a lot. To me, this time of high stress is a lot like an audition. None of us know what the outcome is going to be, and we are all facing a daunting and formidable challenge. So I'd like you to look at the person on your left for a moment. Go on. Now say, "It's going to be okay."
It's going to be okay.
Good. Now that all of you know that it's going to be okay, we can get into the heart of this. Gun violence has plagued America since its conception. In my history class, we learned how the Boston Massacre sparked nationwide uprisings. When the British forced the colonists to pay unjust taxes, they rioted. In Boston, Massachusetts, a group of colonists threw snowballs at British guards. The startled guards fired a volley of shots into the crowd, and 3 colonists were killed. Paul Revere made an engraving of the incident, and it spread like wildfire. America was incensed. The Boston Massacre is remembered as a turning point in American history. After the event, it took 6 years for America to declare its independence. The Patriots, however, were fighting the very next day. The Columbine shooting happened 13 years ago. Where are our Patriots? When will we declare independence? Ladies and gentlemen, the enemies are not coming. They are here, and their red coats are stained with the blood of our children. We are the new Patriots, and we are declaring independence from gun violence now. There's one thing we don't talk a lot about, though, and I want to change that. There are certain groups of people who are disproportionately affected by gun violence. While I feel that we must look at our responsibility to tackle the issue of domestic gun violence as members of a single human race, it is important to look at who is being most directly impacted by this issue. The presence of a gun in a domestic violence situation makes a woman 5 times more likely to be killed. Compared to women in other high-income countries, women in the U.S. are 16 times more likely to be killed with a gun, making America the most dangerous country in the world for gun violence against females. Black men are 13 times more likely to be shot and killed with a gun than non-Hispanic white men. Homicide is the second leading cause of death for Hispanic people ages 15 to 24. These are shocking statistics, and they reveal a glaring need for change in America. When 96 of our own citizens are killed each day due to gun violence, and racial minorities are disproportionately affected, we have a problem. But there's another group, too, that I feel gets consistently overlooked when discussing gun violence. That is the LGBTQ community. On June 12th, 2016, Omar Mateen shot and killed 49 people at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida. Using 2 legally purchased firearms, the SIG Sauer MCX semi-automatic rifle and the Glock 17 pistol, Mr. Mateen entered Pulse nightclub and murdered almost 50 people in what would be known as the worst mass shooting of its time. In case you didn't know, the SIG Sauer MCX rifle can fire 20 shots in 9 seconds. In 2 blinks of an eye, 20 people can be killed. It is worth noting that the nightclub was holding a Latin-themed event when the massacre occurred. According to Omar Mateen's father, he had become disgusted when seeing 2 gay men kissing. On November 27, 1978, the first openly gay elected official in California history, Harvey Milk, was shot and killed. Dan White, a man with whom Harvey had had a number of political scuffles, shot him 5 times, finishing at point-blank range. A champion of gay rights, Milk once said, "If a bullet should enter my brain, let that bullet destroy every closet door." We live in a world in which love begets hate. We must ask ourselves, is this a world we wish to enable? In 2017, there were reportedly 26 transgender people killed. All but 2 were transgender people of color. 62% of the homicides in 2015 were LGBTQ people of color. 62%. And if the heightened potential for the inhumane slaughter of blameless individuals doesn't alarm you, consider this. Suicide is the second most common cause of death for Americans between the ages of 15 and 34. LGBTQ youth are almost 5 times as likely to have attempted suicide than heterosexual youth. Gun fatalities do not always mean homicide. Whether they mean the extinguishing of one's own light or the demolishing of others, gun-related murders are an epidemic in America. As a member of the LGBTQ community, I am personally asking you to help end this crisis. We need gun control reform now, and together we can push for it to end fatalities among minority groups and all individuals.
Woo!
Now is not the time for standing idly by while the world gets to work around us. The world is changing. That wave of change does not exempt each and every one of us. What is change but the immutable will of the people? We are the people, and we will make America safe. I can certainly tell you that this powerful surge of change does not involve arming teachers. Every single educator in my school cares deeply about me and my peers, and they hold our safety in the highest regard. But I can tell you that I do not believe for a second that they would look any of us in the eye and pull the trigger even if we were perceived as a threat. A teacher's job is to protect and preserve knowledge. Please do not ask our educators to be prepared to kill in order to defend their students. Murdering the murderers is not the solution. That is the wrong sort of change. What we need now is the right sort of change. Comprehensive gun reform.
Yeah.
Attending rallies such as this one is a huge step in becoming that change. But how many of you have contacted our representatives? Our senators are Richard Burr and Tom Tillis. According to the New York Times, Tom Tillis ranked number 4 among the top 10 career recipients of NRA funding. He has received $4,418,012 from the National Rifle Association. What about Richard Burr? He ranked number 2. Richard Burr has received $6,986,620 from the NRA. These are our politicians. Why don't we reach out to them and ask why the NRA has so diligently supported them? Why don't we vote for local representatives who will aid us in our challenge? This is not a partisan issue. As citizens of North Carolina, as citizens of America, as citizens of the world, as members of the human race, we have a responsibility to make change. Make change to build the future. Make change to reconcile the past. Make change for yourselves. Make change for the fallen mothers, daughters, fathers, sons, sisters, and brothers who did not live long enough to see it themselves. 13 people died in the Columbine shooting. 13 years later, 26 people were killed in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. 6 years later, 17 people were killed in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. A month later, 2 people were killed in the Great Mills High School shooting. 2 months later, at least 4 people were killed in the Asheville shooting. That was 2 days ago. No more will fall on our watch. So do what we all must do and vote. Thank you.